is a native resident of Brunswick, Georgia. She is the mother of 3 adult children and Gigi of 4 grandkisses. She's an author, inspirational speaker, domestic violence advocate, relationship coach, and the CEO founder of Love Smart Inc., a nonprofit organization that educates, advocates, and brings awareness to dating violence and domestic violence. Ms. Williams holds a dual master's degree in criminal justice and psychology. She penned her first book, God's Divine Intervention, in 2002, which depicts her personal, life-threatening event. Ms. Williams has presented to various groups, private and public educational institutions, government agencies, and youth centers nationally and internationally. Ms. Williams and her team have traveled twice a year since 2017 to offer Love Smart dating workshops to the Ministry of Education in Nassau, Bahamas. Ms. Williams was named Survivor of the Year from Clark Atlanta University. Ms. Williams was honored by Jacksonville First Coast News as our hero next door. Ms. Williams was honored by the AKA Sorority Incorporated South Atlantic Region as the Social Justice Human Award honoree, and many more for her services. Ms. Williams is laser focused on equipping others to become overcomers. She has written a number of self-development workbooks, journals, and inspirational empowerment books for women. She has coloring books and affirmation books for children. She even has a prayer journal for the men and young boys. Her hope is to continue empowering others to always seek to become the best version of themselves. Let's welcome Valerie Williams to Pathways to Success.
Good evening. Welcome to Pathway to Success. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Hunter, and we have with us this evening Miss Valerie Williams, one who have achieved so much and one who is going to inspire you with her life story to the next level. Valerie, welcome to Pathway to Success.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Honored to be here.
Thank you so much. Wow, where can I start? You have achieved so much. You have been such a great inspiration. But the first question I would like to ask you: how did your personal experience shape the content and message of your first book, God's Divine Intervention?
Well, it all started with God's Divine Intervention. I wrote that book from becoming a victim of domestic violence for only 20 minutes. This is one of the, myth is that domestic violence happens over and over again, but it doesn't. One time is one time too many. And in a 20-minute period, my husband, who I was married to at the time, we were married 8.5 years, called me home at lunchtime and shot me 3 times with a .38 Smith & Wesson. And I was shot through the head, and it went all the way through my head and came out on my right side. And he shot me twice in my right arm, and one went in, broke my collarbone, and came out the back of my spine, out of my neck. And the other one stayed in for a while. The miraculous thing is I had no surgery, no stitches, no bones cracked, nothing. I had nothing done to me in the hospital. And it was a 20-minute period. But throughout that day, I could see God's divine intervention. When I look back on that day, I could see little things that God was doing. And when it happened, I was like, that was nobody but God. Me asking my girlfriend to follow me to the house, that was nobody but God. And I just saw him after everything happened. I saw God's hand in the midst of that day. And so when I got ready to write my book, because I wanted for people to know, like, God is real. Like, you don't get shot in the head with a .38 and have no surgery, no stitches, nothing.
Can you pause? You're saying, my mind is trying to grasp what you just said. Mm-hmm. How many, you got shot in your head and you did not do any form of surgery to remove a bullet? How many times were you shot?
I was shot 3 times with a .38 Smith & Wesson. Uh-huh. The first shot went through my head here. It went all the way through and came out, exit over here. 2 in my arm. It broke my collarbone and went out the back of my neck, out my spine. I never knew I was even shot in the head. I never felt pain in my head. I only thought I was shot in my arm. I had no surgery. I had no stitches. I had no bones cracked. I didn't have blood transfusion. I only stayed in the hospital 3 days. Like, it was strictly a miracle by God. And so I ended up losing, of course, the marriage was over. We had 2 children. I ended up losing my house and job, everything. I mean, my whole world just got blown up. And I stayed in the hospital only 3 days. And so I knew God had done something miraculous, but at that time I was in so much pain and hurt and disbelief, and I was just numb, and became depressed and things like that. And it wasn't until maybe 2 years that God was telling me to write the book. And I kept telling God that I wanted to write the book, but I wanted the happy ending. I wanted the restoration. Like, give me my house back, give me the use of my arm back, heal me. Those things I wanted. Then I'll have something to write about. But I began to write God's divine intervention because there was so much goodness that I could see, even in such a bad situation, and because of so much pain, I still could see God made death behave for me. And so if he made death behave, then I had a purpose. And I just had to keep the faith, believe in him, trust him that he would work everything out. And so that first book became God's Divine Intervention because he intervened in allowing a bullet by his spirit to go through my head. That's God's divine intervention.
Wow. You're a living, walking, breathing miracle.
Miracle. Yes.
As a matter of fact, I've seen so many television evangelists in the United States of America, so many preachers. You should have been one of them that we have on TVN, the Word Network. Your testimony. I've never, in all my years of journalism, I've never met anyone who have been what you just shared with us all. Shot in the
Yes.
head, no
Yes.
surgery, nothing, and you still have the use of your arm.
Yeah, I have like a claw effect here. It tore some of my nerves and it stretched some of them. So I lost the use of my arm for like a year and a half. And the doctor told me, we're not going to go in and get it because it'll do more damage. And so you probably won't be able to use your arm. And I tell you, Dr. Hunter, I prayed and I anointed this arm and I just believed God. And one day it just started moving.
Wow.
And the bullet ended up traveling out of my arm until the back of my shoulder, all the way up to my skin. And the doctor just made a little incision and took it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's this supernatural.
It's supernatural. Yes. And the bullet that came out my neck, no damage. I've never had problems. I've never hurt in my head. Never. But my arm, I have pain every day, 365 days. But I just adapted to it and accepted because I could have not been here. I should have not been here. And so I try to look at the positive side of things, and that's what keeps me going.
Wow, you're a walking miracle. I'm happy that I
Yes.
can interview a miracle. It took a song that they would sing in church. It took a miracle, and
Yeah.
and you're that miracle.
I'm,
You're
I,
that miracle.
yeah,
You are that miracle.
I am that miracle. Yes.
When that happened, because you said you have 2 kids,
Mhm.
was your husband put behind bars? Well, it should be. I mean, for
Well,
that.
he shot at that time. He shot me 3 times. I didn't know I was shot 3 times. I only thought I was shot once because that's all I felt was the pain in my arm. And then he put the gun to his head, shot himself. He ended up having surgery and was in a slight coma for a while. Um, but he went to prison for 10 years, and I had to fight for that. I had to fight for those 10 years, and he had, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. But at the time, we didn't go to court till like a year and a half later. So he went back to work.
Really?
Yes, he
Right
was
here in America?
after the shooting. Yes.
I've never heard a story like this in all my life. He he tried to kill you. That's attempted murder. Then he was allowed to go back to
Yes.
work for
Yeah.
a year before he was sentenced and put behind
Before
bars.
he was sentenced. Yes. And at that time, my whole focus was what I needed to do to put him in jail, and it was my mission, and that was for me to do, and I wasn't focused on anything else. But at this time, God really began to start dealing with me like that. Vengeance is not yours. The battle is not yours, it's mine. So I had to learn how to release and surrender those things, because God was trying to do something in my life, but I was so focused on getting him back. And so when we did go to court, the judge asked me, was I pleased with the 10 years? And Dr. Hunter, I tell you, at that moment, my flesh rose up. I wanted to say 10 for each bullet holes. I have 6 bullet scars in my body. And I wanted to say 10 for each of those, and then give me 10 for each child, and just keep adding. Yeah.
It would have been wow.
Yeah. And I wanted to do that, but right before I got shot, I was crying and begging him for my life, because of course in our flesh we believe a person has that power in their hand when they have a gun, like my life is in your hands. And so I was just crying and begging, and I mean just pleading. I was bringing up our children's name, just anything to reach him. And I'm crying and begging, and I heard God say, you're crying and begging, but you hadn't called on me. So right before he shot me, I said, Lord, be with me. And when I looked back, he stood over me, and I was shot.
Wow, this is really
Yeah, it is.
it's an amazing story of miraculous God that we serve. Can you tell us more about your journey and what inspired you to become an author, inspirational speaker, domestic violence advocate? Well,
When I got out of the hospital, I only stayed in the hospital 3 days for observation.
only 3 days.
Shot
That's a
3
lot.
times.
Valerie, you keep surprising me the whole time I'm sitting here.
Yeah,
This is amazing.
shot 3 times. Stayed in the hospital 3 days. So that number 3 kept popping up, and when I got stronger, I started doing research on the number 3 and divine. So Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And I only stayed in the hospital 3 days. And when I got out of the hospital, there was a newspaper on my mom's coffee table, and it said it was an article about what had happened, and it said Valerie. I was a Lewis at the time. Valerie Lewis, domestic violence victim, and I was like, I'm not a domestic violence victim. He never beat me. He never was abusive. He never verbally abused me. He never, And so I had an advocate, and she came to the house, and we were talking about it. And she said, now you're a victim of domestic. And I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not a victim. No, I'm not. Because I didn't want people thinking he had been beating me all the time that we were married, because that's what I thought domestic violence was. And she looked me in the face and said, I don't care if it was 20 minutes, 20 seconds, 20 years, domestic violence, you are now a victim of domestic violence. I don't care if it was 1 time, 10 times, 100 times. You are now a victim of domestic violence. Because I kept saying, He only hit me one time, and she was like, he shot you. But I didn't see it as domestic violence. And I said, if I'm seeing it like this, it has to be many more people that don't understand what domestic violence consists of. And that's when I began to go to shelters. I wasn't a domestic violence advocate at this time. I just felt I had a purpose and God had kept me for a reason. So I just started going to shelters and just talking to women who had been abused for many years. This was a daily thing. And I would just go and share my story with them just for inspiration, and maybe I felt guilty because I got shot and went through all this. I don't know. I just felt drawn to go to them.
Um, I want to ask you a question. This is also a controversial show. Do These could you ever imagine or see yourself getting married again, or fall in love again with a male, a man? All that you've been through.
Yes, yes, yes. Because I'm not the same person I was then. I've learned so much. Um, that's why I started my organization, Love Smart.
I
Even
like
though I
that.
was married and had children, the things that I know now about relationships and what it takes, and being healthy, you being a healthy and whole person yourself. I'm a totally different person now, but I'm very aware of emotional intelligence and maturity. Like, I have to see that. I have to know that. I have to see a man be able to communicate. Don't tell me you don't talk. I don't want that. That's a sign for me.
Right, right. Not
I'm not.
talking.
I'm not in touch with my emotional side. Well, see you later. You know. so, so yes, I'm open to that. But I do have. There's characteristics and things that I have to see. I have to know that you're healthy and whole. That's it. I have to know that you can manage your emotions. And I'm
Right.
not going to ask anything of you that I don't already have. If I want you to be respectful, then I need to be respectful. So yes, I wouldn't dare say I'm not going to talk to another man because this man did that to me. It was
Right.
for me to learn the lesson and what I need. I know how to set boundaries and protect myself. And these are all the things that we teach men and women. You don't set any boundaries, then that means you just allow people to come in your life and just do whatever.
Right.
And so I've learned those things. So I'm not afraid to give somebody my heart, but that's a process. And this is my motto, Dr. Hunter. Purposeful before personal. If there's
I
no
like that.
purpose,
Repeat that again. I like that. Repeat it again,
purposeful,
Valerie.
purposeful before personal. If there is no purpose for you being in my life and me being in yours, and that means I'm pouring into you, you pouring into me. If there's no purpose, we have no business getting personal.
I agree.
None. Even a girlfriend. If a woman come in my life, what is the purpose? It's not just to go to the club and hang out and chill. I mean, I don't do that anyway, but I'm just saying it's not just a party. So what is the purpose for me being in your life, and what is the purpose of you being in mine? And once we figure that out, yeah, okay, now we can get personal. Now we can, because there's a purpose. But people don't do that. They get personal and then never find the purpose.
That's true. That's so true, Valerie. That's powerful keys of wisdom that you're giving to us tonight on Pathway to Success. And what you've shared, a lot of people need to put boundaries. I'm in total
Yes,
agreement with everything you have said. Boundaries is so key
yes,
um, to have in your life and in whoever you interact with in life.
yes.
That is very important. So I like that. Love Smart Incorporated is a non-profit organization, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And what are some of the keys initiatives of Love Smart?
Well, I worked with women for a very long time going into shelters, but I kept saying, okay, how do we stop them from becoming these women in the shelter? Like, we got to get them at an earlier age. Like, what is the answer? So I would pray and ask God, what is the answer to domestic violence? What is it? The number one thing is the education, the knowledge. We don't have the awareness of what abuse is, how it happens. We worry about it after we have an incident, after we have a situation. Then we talk about it for a little while, and then you don't hear about it anymore. So I began Love Smart, and I named it Love Smart because that's just what we have to be. We have to be smart when it comes to love. So that means if I'm being smart, I'm using my head. I'm not using my feelings. I'm not going on my feelings. I'm using my head. I'm loving smart. So if I know the signs, if I know what manipulation is, if I've been told what power and control is, if I've been told what unhealthy relationships is, if I've been told this and taught this, then I know that if you tell me uh, you'll have sex with me because you said you love me. So if you love me, you'll have sex with me. I'll know that that's manipulation and not love because I've been taught that. That's been brought to me. I have the tools, and so I started in the colleges. Right, I would go to the college, and we talk about relationships. They didn't want to hear it because they're already in college. They already with they boo on campus, and they don't want you come telling them about this is unhealthy, signs of relationships. So I said, okay, now I'll go to high school, catch them before they get to college. Go to high school, same thing. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear it. So now I have to go younger. Okay, let me go to middle school, and I'll talk to them in middle school before they get to high school. Now I am going into elementary school's fifth grade, because there are so many unhealthy relationships. Now the universal age is 11 where abuse starts. Age 11. And it's because they have no clue how to have a relationship, what a healthy relationship looks like. We have adults that don't know, that don't have a clue. I ask adults, what have you done to prepare yourself to be in a relationship? What preparation did you make before you got into that relationship? He just fine and she fine, and we just got together and we just liked each other, and we've been kicking it. They no preparation. They don't know how to sit down and and talk to each other and respect one another. What this person is saying, they don't know how to do that. They have no clue. A lot of them don't even know that they know it's toxic, but they're normalizing it now to where it's normal. This is what they tell me. This is just what we do. Oh, so y'all fight twice a week, bleeding, them bust each other eardrum. Somebody got a black eye, and y'all call this love, and this is just what you do. So I started Love Smart because I was like, we gotta love smart. We gotta love is a beautiful thing, but we gotta do it right. We have to know it's got to get better. So if we bring the awareness, and educate and get into the communities and go to the church and teach the pastor and what to look for. Don't tell somebody to pray about it. That's not the answer. Teach it to the children, teach it to your deacons, teach it to because believe me, I've seen it. It's in the church too. Abuse is in the church.
Yes, it's
And
there
so
too. Do you? We're going to take a short break and then we come back to you. But I wanted to ask you one quick question.
mhm.
Have you also met men who have been abused?
Yes. And I'm glad you asked that. now it's not even, but it's turning, because you know why? Women now are so aggressive. They are so aggressive and hateful and demanding and in expectation. And I have 4 young men right now that
You
I'm
have to be
working.
careful you say that now, because you may have most of the women across the universe coming at you when you made that statement. The
Well,
women
I
that
mean,
so,
that's okay.
just want
I,
to give you
that's okay. But some of them are. Some of them are. I have the young man that just got his 3 fingers broke in the door. His girlfriend slammed the door and broke his fingers. I've had some beat up on him. I mean, they're aggressive, and some of them are nasty, acting, the attitude bad, and they feel like somebody owed them something, you know. And so yeah, it's bad. So yeah, it's a lot, but men are not going to say I'm
no,
being
no.
abused.
Yeah, a man won't say that, because, of
A
course,
man's not going to
you
say
come
I'm
to
being
another man and say that, a man is going to look at you like you're a boy.
right. But a lot of men get abused verbally, because that's what we use. Women, we use our mouth as a weapon. So a lot of men are verbally abused, and a lot of men are emotionally abused. But I know a few, and I mean men, not little boys, men.
Big macho looking man, Valerie,
I know men in the service.
in the service.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? In the
No.
service.
In the service, that get hits with broomsticks and stuff thrown at them. And I've Dr. Hunter, I done seen it all. I've seen it all. For real. And we hide it and don't talk about it. And we, instead of learning how to get healthy, how to be healthy and have a healthy love, and have love is wonderful. But I want you to do this for me, and you want me to do that for you, and it's all about what the other person wants and expectation. That's a bunch of work. I'd rather be healthy alone than to be sick with you.
Valerie, I'm enjoying this interview. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love what you just that statement you just made a while ago. We're going to take a short break on Pathway to Success, and we'll be right back with Miss Valerie Williams.
Did you pick out this detergent all by yourself? So cute.
It's half the size and it's half the plastic. And there's nothing cute about unnecessary plastic. Christy, the average person generates over 200 pounds of plastic a year. And there are 329 million of us in the US alone.
Do you want paper or paper? Yeah.
7th generation Easy Dose laundry detergent. Half the size, half the plastic, all the clean.
So where were we?
The playoff.
Oh, yes. Only a handful of teams remained, hailing from kingdoms far and wide across the college football land, all vying for a spot in the playoffs. Each team led by a great coach, fearless players, and defended by the loyalist of fans. Soon, they would take part in an epic playoff battle for the right to call themselves national champions. And to the victor go the spoils, a beautiful trophy, a grand celebration, and bragging rights that stand the test of time.
And then what happened?
We'll find out soon.
This ship is now under the command of the First Order.
Live your Star Wars story in a new 2-night adventure.
You know what I've come for.
Only at Walt Disney World Resort.
Welcome back to Pathway to Success. I'm here with Miss Valerie Williams, and wow, what a miracle. She is a wealth of wisdom. She is, I call her the supernatural Valerie Williams, walking supernatural miracle woman. And so that maybe you should write a book like that. I don't, because you've written so many books, but I would love to inspire that book. But what motive, because a while ago when we took the break, I'm saying, oh my God, how's Valerie going to manage to walk on the road now? After she starts saying that women does that to men, I was saying to the producer, I hope there will be no women knocking on your door or calling Pathway to Success to have an issue with what you say. But what you've shared with us has opened our eyes also to both sides of domestic violence, and what motivates you to offer Love Smart. Well, you have presented to various groups and institutions nationally and internationally, and you have been one of the most impactful. What have been one of the most impactful moments or experiences from these presentations that you have done in different institutions that you have gone to, or groups you have been for?
I've traveled all over the world, and then I had an opportunity in 2017 to go to Nassau, Bahamas. I wanted, because domestic violence is everywhere. It's not prejudice. It doesn't care who we are. It doesn't care our skin color. It doesn't care our financial status. It's everywhere. And so I prayed and asked God for the opportunity to go global, because everyone needs to learn how to love smart. Everyone. And I had the opportunity to go over there, and I started going into the schools, and we would take Love Smart, and we would just do maybe 4 schools a day. And what was so inspiring was that I realized that our children want to know. They want to know. Like, I would tell them what abuse was. Some of them had never heard of the word. And that's just not over in the Bahamas, but in the States too. Some of them will be like, I didn't know that was abuse, because some of them may have grown, their home life may have been that, and they just thought it was normal. And so a lot of them would say, what if I see this in my home? And I tell them, you still are a child. You stay in a child's place, but now you know what kind of life you don't want. I just want you to understand that it's not healthy. It's not normal. And you can choose something different. This is how you love smart. This is how you make sure you, protect yourself. So that's why we go in and teach boundaries. And this is the thing they want to know. They really want to know, because we meet all people coming out of lives all day long, right? We meet all kind of different people, and it doesn't matter who you are. You need to make sure that you love yourself enough to protect you. And that's the impact. They learn that, okay, I need to protect myself because I'm worthy of that. I need to love myself, because if nobody else takes care of me and protect me, I need to be able to take care of me and protect me. And so they learn that, and that be like the most wonderful thing about doing it, because I said, if I would not have gone through what I went through, I would not be over in the Bahamas. I just had an opportunity to go to Turks and
But
Caicos
what really motivates you to go to the Bahamas and then turn?
because it's
I hope
everywhere.
you're going to Jamaica next.
Well, I'm trying. If I get a connection, I just came from Turks and Caicos, and I
I
tell you,
was born in Jamaica,
yes,
so
I'm
here's your
trying.
connection.
One of my favorite restaurants here is Jerk Shack, and he's from Jamaica. And I've
Really?
been trying to get him because I always like to go with someone that knows
Yeah.
somebody, you know, so I can feel comfortable and move around like we want to. But I just got back from Turks and Caicos about 2 weeks ago, and oh
What
my
was
God,
that like?
huh?
What was that like? How did they? What was
Oh,
the
let me
response?
tell you, flying over in that little plane to Grand Turks.
Oh, you took the small plane.
Yes.
No, I do the big one.
Well, I flew in on American Airlines, but then we flew over to Grand Turks, and it was just those young people. I tell you, I'm so ready to go back. They were so attentive, so engaged, so into it. You know, I mean, I took Love Smart t-shirts. Everybody got a Love Smart t-shirt. I had someone to donate, and I had a suitcase full of t-shirts. And it was just wonderful. I went back over to Grand Turks and Provo, and the first lady came. She stayed the whole workshop. I mean, it was just the best. It was the best. And so we're going back next year, and we're going to do it bigger because they were really involved. And this is the thing that I love the most. When we were at the teen center in Provo, it was some boys, because this was just for girls. It was some boys at the teen center, and they wanted to know what was going on. And we invited them in. And I'm telling you, it was so good. And they stayed because you're telling them something about love, which we all want and we all need, you know. But if it's wrong, if it's abusive, if it's unhealthy, if it's toxic, it's not good for us. And so just to know, like I said, we talked about self-love, boundaries. I gave them homework. Come up with 3 boundaries that you will protect yourself. Can somebody just put their hands on you? You know, can a guy kiss you? Can he touch you? Can he touch you here? Can he touch you here? Can he touch you there? Boundaries. What are your boundaries? And that was their homework. And I believe that you give them something to learn so they can understand their worth and what they deserve, you know. And so I'm ready to go to Jamaica, Barbados. I mean, I want Love Smart to be all over this world.
Jamaica, I'm going to connect with Tortola also.
Yes.
But being named Survivor of the Year from Clark, and that is a prestigious university.
Yes.
Clark Atlantic University is a significant honor.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on the impact of this recognition on your advocacy work?
Yeah, and that was years ago, but I think that really pushed me because I understood that what I had gone through, that it could benefit someone else. And I think when I was recognized for that, and this is after that, this is what God told me, because I think even in that time I was still just kind of thriving. You know, I survived, so I was kind of thriving. And God told me that when it happened to me, I was a victim. I was living like a victim. Then I survived it. I became a survivor because I survived that. But God told me that I had to push myself to become an overcomer, to live beyond it. And so that's what I do. I'm not a survivor of domestic violence. I'm an overcomer of domestic violence because I live beyond it. When you're surviving, to me, I told, I was on the board for the Georgia Family Commission of Violence in Atlanta. I was on their board for about 6 years, and I couldn't stand that word survivor. I just don't like it because I feel like it just means that you just, you know, you made it, you existing. Overcoming means that you can take what happened to you in any situation. You can take what happened to you and live beyond it. Use it as a tool. And that's what I do. I use this as a tool. I'm not surviving, I'm overcoming. And so that, I think that that award just kind of pushed me to want to do more. And that's when I started working in the colleges and going to different colleges in Georgia. I started in Georgia first. And so, yeah, I'm getting ready to start that back too. I'm trying to get a college tour going because that's a breeding ground. College campuses are breeding grounds for abuse because we send our children to college. We don't talk to them about relationships. Some people don't. You know, we prepare them, we get their clothes, we get their dorm stuff, things for their dorm. We don't sit them down and say, look, now you're gonna meet this person, that person, because when you go back, you hear so many reports and stories. There are so many where normally 90% of victims are women. This young girl has gone to college, she's met somebody, and next thing you know, she's dead.
You have received numerous honors and awards for your services. Could you highlight one that holds a special place in your heart and explain why?
Um, whew, yeah, I'm gonna tell you one that really, all of them. I'm grateful for all of them for the recognition. But one I'm really grateful for. It's a organization in Atlanta called Still Standing. The CEO is Tamika Lowry, and I work with a young lady in Tampa. She has a nonprofit, Lori. It's called Victory Over Violence. And so this past October, last year, we got invited to come up to Atlanta, and we was presented with an award for collaboration. And that's the one that really means a lot to me because we can't do it alone. And so me and Lori, we work together, Victory Over Violence, all the time. She went with me to Bahamas in February. And so to get that award, to see other people on the outside saying these two work together well. It's not competition because the mission is the same. And so that one means a lot to me, that collaboration.
It's good. You've written self-development workbooks
Mm-hmm.
as inspirational books for women, children, and men. What inspired you to create such a diverse range of resources?
Uh, when I started writing, it was for inspiration and self motivation and encouragement for women. When the more I work with domestic violence victims and the more I'm out there, I start seeing that the whole family sometimes can be unhealthy. Um, my son, when he was growing up, I would tell him, stop crying. What you crying for? Because he was a boy. I let my daughter cry, but my son, I'm like, suck it up. You all right? That didn't hurt, you know. and after, and so after when that happened, I started realizing that what am I teaching him?
Sure.
Am I teaching him to suppress his feelings and emotions? And if I do, what will he do with them by the time he's 5 now? But when he's 15, when he's 25, he's going to suppress those emotions. And so I have men journals for men to express themselves because men, you know, they say I don't talk and communicate, but you need to put it somewhere. I think my ex-husband was going through something. I don't know what. I never found out. And I don't need to know now because God kept me here, you know. And so I just think releasing it helped me to start writing my book. And I just think releasing, working on yourself. My workbook is called Mastering Me. And you have to master you. You can't master anybody else. And so until you can master you, you know, that's a lot of work right there. Just that'll keep you focused right here. You get better. That means you're becoming a better version of yourself. We have to work. It's a process, and we don't like to do it sometimes. So I try to come up with. I have a coloring book. I have journals for girls. I have journals for boys. A lot of them are geared toward African American. We had some young boys, because they commit suicide, but these boys have nothing to release what they're feeling inside. So if we can teach them, draw it out. If you can't express it in words, draw out how you feel. And if you angry, draw it out, but you got to get it out of you. And so God just kept making me think I was an author. He kept making me think. He kept making me think I could do this stuff. And I think I have 14 books now. I think it's 14 or something like that. And he just give it to me. And Dr. Hunter, he give me an assignment. I'm just going to do it. I just feel that do it.
Congratulations, 14 books. That's a lot. You're a great author. You're winning right there, big time. But can you share some insight into how you maintain, with all of this, how you maintain your focus, resilience, while empowering others to become overcomers?
Um, when I first started speaking, I would take on people's hurt, and I would come back home and I would be so drained, and I didn't, mind you, I didn't have a husband. I didn't have somebody that I was coming back home
You
with.
sound you sound like a pastor. Also,
No, no, Dr. Hunter.
because that's what a lot of pastors always say. If you interview
Yeah,
them, they say they take on other people's hurt and other people's problems. So that's why
yeah,
I said that.
yeah. But very early on, God taught me that, he said one water and one, he gives the increase. One plant,
Yes.
one water, and he gives the increase. And so I had to learn that I could only do what I could do, and then God would do the rest. And so I had to learn how to cast that over to him and me not carry it. Go share my story, give hope, give inspiration, but it wasn't my job to fix it. And so I would go home and be like, Lord, I'm pouring into people who gonna pour into me, But he sent people in my life, people that I've met on this journey, from the time I've gotten shot, that's been in my life, people that encourage me and pour back into me. That's why I said purposeful before personal. And so I need that. And when I need that, I know how to rest now. I had to learn how to rest in God. And before I didn't understand what that meant. But I know now, when even when stuff go on, I know how to get quiet and rest in him. I've learned that. I know how to settle my spirit and say, God, because I always go back to, you allowed a bullet to go through my head.
Yeah.
So this situation, I just got to keep the faith. I got to trust him. But you allowed a bullet to go through my head, and I don't think you're done with me yet. So I just try to stay focused, and like just I've learned the rest. I know me. I know who I am. I'm okay eating by myself. I tell people all the time, me and Val get along real good. you know, I love her. We go eat together, and I'll go out of town, and I don't have a problem because I know me. I know I learned my truths. I know who I am, but that was a process. And so I tell people all the time, I don't know it all, but I know what God has taught me. And I didn't want to, what I went through, I didn't want it to be in vain. I didn't want it to be for nothing. And so I got to know God, and that's what keeps me, as bad as it was, I got to know him for who he truly is. And so that's what keeps me focused.
After hearing your inspirational story of how you survived domestic violence and now you're empowering men and women are men all across children, you've really made a great impact, and you've been unselfish to even leave from this beautiful nation of America to go across the Caribbean, to share in other nations. How can individuals and organizations get involved to support your mission through Love Smart Incorp?
We're on Facebook, Love Smart Inc. And we're also, our website is lovesmartinc.org. They can email me at vwilliams898@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, and that's where a lot of the youth go, and they follow me, and they love it. I try to post every day, post something that can be of inspiration to them. They can call me at 912-996-7710. I want to go all over. I can't do it by myself. But this is what I see. I see a sea of families, young people, men, women with Love Smart. Because if we're healthy adult, if our children are healthy, they become healthy adults. And so that's what I'm working on, to make sure that our children are healthy so they become healthy adults, and I don't have to go see them in the shelter or at a grave site.
You know, when you said 9, you mentioned a number a while ago. You said 9. I thought it was 911 you was going to say, but
yeah, they need to come.
That was 911 you was going to say.
Yeah, they do. And I do want to say this.
Yes.
If they are in an abusive relationship, don't be shamed. Get help, because really 9 times out of 10, you either are going to leave or you're going to die or come close to it. And so there's so many stories, and I can put on an event, a workshop, and they just won't come. And I'm just like, the thing that we need the most, we don't want. We need the education, and it's nothing wrong with coming to sit down and hear that this is the way I go about relationships has been wrong. I'm getting the same, a different person, same thing, doing the same thing. You a cycle, and you don't stop to say, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong? I'm not preparing. I don't have no boundaries, but I love myself. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you had boundaries, you would. And then you got to communicate them. You can't say you have a boundary and don't communicate it to the other person. And then you got to stand bound. So, if they are in a situation, get some help. There's somebody there that can help you. Tell somebody. There's a national hotline, domestic hotline, and it's help out there. They'll help you. They'll help you get out. They'll plan a safety plan. They'll help you get the help you need to get on your feet. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And we got to stop calling it love. And it's toxic and unhealthy.
Valerie, I'm happy that you're alive to share this miraculous story, testimony. I'm happy that you're an overcomer and you're helping others to overcome. Now, Valerie, tell me, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, or where do you see yourself next 5 years?
In a jetting from here to there, here to there, here to there.
Will you have a documentary? Will you do a documentary?
I do.
Yeah,
Doc. I really want to do one. I said that last year that I want to do one. I want to, sometimes I think like, okay, God, everybody done heard this, and I'm thinking he's done. And then all of a sudden he just opens these doors and opportunities. And right now it's just busy. But because people need to hear it. And it's not about me. I was just a vessel. It's about how powerful he is. That's power. You know what I mean? Like, people need to know that God is still performing miracles. He's that powerful to allow a bullet to go through my head and out the other side and touch nothing. That's the power of God. And so that's the message. I don't want people to see me. I want them to see him. So that's why when I ask him, I open up my calendar and I say, Lord, okay, what we doing? Where we going? And he just opens, because I want people to know how that you are a healer, that you are a provider. I want people to know. And so I'm just the mouthpiece. And so he opens doors for me to go. And that's what I see myself in 5 years, like just traveling and going and meeting people. I have met some awesome. Sometimes I'm like, I'm kind of glad I went through that. kind of. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I know
because
what you're
this
talking
journey it's nothing what, if he would have told me when I was on the bed in the hospital that you're going to do this, I wouldn't have believed it. But I had to go through so much darkness to get here, so much depression, so much pain, so much hurt to get here. But it was worth it because I know God is who he say he is. I know
about.
he is.
Yes. Thank you for sharing this inspirational story. Overcomers victory. You're a victorious woman, and you're empowering others to overcome and to be victorious. One thing that I want to leave with all our viewers today, you've heard Valerie Williams' story, and I would like a lot of persons to try and get on board, support her initiative, what she's doing. This is for a worthy cause, and this is so important. Love everyone to get on board. And in leaving the show tonight, I would say love smart. Valerie, thank you. I'm going to start using that a lot. Yeah, moving forward in my life. Love smart. I want to leave that with everyone. Valerie, I want to thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking time out to share such an amazing, miraculous overcomer story. But in leaving, pathway to success tonight, love smart. Create boundaries. Have a great week.